So, you got into EngSci. First of all, congratulations. That's no easy feat. But is EngSci actually the right program for you? Well, that's a really big decision. And this video will be sort of me talking about my first year as an EngSci student. And about a year ago, I was going through also this kind of decision process where I was debating between Waterloo's Mechatronics and UofT EngSci. Throughout 1 year, I have some words to say about the program, and believe me, it'll be different from what you expected when you clicked on this video. Now, let's start with talking about the curriculum first, right? So you might have heard of how EngSci is really rigorous, or the course load's heavy, or it's really difficult. Yeah, it's all of the above. You're gonna take all day studying, doing problem sets, doing assignments. That is a given. It is not easy at all, and as someone who did IB in high school, a lot of the material is still new to me as well. So you'll be studying a lot in your first year and in second year. So just be prepared for that. And about what courses you'll be taking. So for the first semester, we have Practice 1, Programming in Python, Introduction to Lineage, Calculus 1, Civ, which is my personal favorite course, and we have Physics. So for the courses, if you guys want me to make another video on that, I can definitely do that. It's definitely worthy of a separate video on its own. But in short, Practice 1 and 2, these are the worst courses. At the end of the day, I still don't know what Practice is. It's like an engineering design course. The professors are teaching you basically stuff that's just common sense, and the only part of the course is doing the group projects. And as for other courses, we have Civ, which is really unique to EngSci. At the end of the day, you get to build a bridge, and I learned a lot about engineering through this one course. And for the second semester, you'll be having Praxis 2, Programming in C, ECE, MSE, Calc 2, and Linear Algebra. So for these courses, again, Praxis is definitely a flop, and programming was definitely ramping up for me as well. They teach you both Python and C, and I think a really good thing about EngSci is you get to learn both languages. Now, we have 6 courses per semester, as opposed to 5 for all the engineering majors here at UofT and I believe Waterloo. So you'll be learning a lot in your first year, which equates to a lot of time spent on academics. And you might have noticed that what we learned here is really general. So we have in first year Civ, ECE, which is I guess pretty foundational and pretty introductory. But in second year is where EngSci really differs from other traditional majors, because it has quantum, it has thermal, robotics, aero. So if you're into more of general engineering or learning a bit of everything, EngSci is really good for that. But if you're looking to specialize and going down into one thing, maybe choose a more specific engineering programs. And for me, I'm going into robotics. So I guess it's a bit of everything, like mechanical, electrical, and software. So it actually works out for me to do more of a general engineering. And I don't mind learning a bit of everything. And I think quantum and thermal are all cool in itself. Now, moving on to extracurriculars. And actually, extracurriculars is where I have the most problem with this program, because you're spending so much time in academics in EngSci that you don't really get to spend a lot of time doing personal projects or doing design team. And for me, I joined Formula Racing and UTAT SAE, which is sort of like a aerospace plane competition team. And I would really want to spend more time in these two teams and do more hands-on engineering projects. But unfortunately, in EngSci, you don't get a lot of time to do that. And I know people who do a lot of design team work and who spend a lot of time in the shop. And these people sometimes sacrifice their grades or sleep because of it. So I guess you could dedicate time to design teams if you want, but then you're sacrificing some other aspects of university. And if you're more towards hands-on learning, I think Waterloo has a better first year experience towards that, because you have a easier course load, lighter course load, so you can have more personal project time and do more design team work. All right, let's talk about social life. And I know a lot of you might have searched up on Reddit or somewhere else and found that people say stuff like UofT is so dead, there's no parties going on. No, there's actually a lot of school related events happening every Friday. In fact, our U of T engineering community is really tight knit, and there's a lot of events. And this is actually one thing that U of T is doing better than Waterloo, in my opinion, because a lot of my Waterloo friends are saying that there's nothing happening on campus, as opposed to U of T, where we have engineering parties, we have a lot of engineering events, we have a great sense of community here, and if you want to make friends, you will find the people here as well. I think one thing to point out is that the ratio here is about 1-to-1, as opposed to Waterloo, where it's pretty much male dominated. Now, moving on to talk about the city and the location. So I'm from Vancouver myself, and when I got here, it doesn't feel too much different other than just another big city. And there's a lot to do in the city as well. But for an average EngSci student, you might not get enough time to explore a city. I know I'm spending most of my time walking down University and College and St. George Street, so I've not been to a lot of places that I wanted to go when I first came here to the UofT during summer. That's, I think, one regret that I have, is not visiting a lot of places at Toronto, like the island in the lake, or going to Niagara, or other places. Now, let's talk about research in EngSci. I just have one word: goated. If you're in EngSci, you will find research pretty much everywhere in every department in engineering. And I know a lot of people who are doing amazing work, and there's so many research opportunities here. It's actually insane. And you can do it in any discipline because EngSci is so broad. I know people who are doing quantum research at physics labs. And I know there's a lot of people going abroad for the EngSci Ezra program, where you get to go to a different country like Singapore or Thailand or Germany and do research there during summer. I know people who are doing AI research, and UofT is known for AI research, from recent awards to Jeffrey Hinton and the Vector Institute here. And personally, I'm doing robotics research at a lab here during summer. And yeah, so if you ever want to consider going to grad school, come to EngSci, because it is really, really good for having a strong foundational knowledge in math and physics. And not only that, you'll be doing a lot of paper writing, and you'll be doing your thesis as well in your final year in EngSci, which will make a really strong grad school application. All right, let's talk about co-op or internship. I would say it's definitely pretty decent. After a second year, you get 4 months of PEY, which is our version of co-op. And the main one is the one after third year, where you get a 12 to 16-month co-op. And I know people who are doing PEY at robotic startups, NVIDIA, or Tesla, and major tech companies. But I guess the job portal is not as good as Waterloo's. But personally, for me, I don't really mind, because for my first year, I'm doing research, and second and third year, I can do more industry work and then see what I like. And then from that comparison, I can decide if I wanted to move on to a more academia side or more industry side. So in that sense, EngSci gives you the flexibility of choosing. And that is one thing that helped me decide whether I wanted to go to Waterloo or UofT. And I guess one thing to point out here is that the quote-unquote startup culture here is a bit weaker than Waterloo. I know Waterloo has a really strong sense of startup and big tech, and a lot of people go to California after graduation to work there. There is the Socratica Symposium, there is Hack the North, and a lot of hackathons going on there. And I'm not saying that UofT doesn't. UofT has a lot of amazing hackathons. It's just that Waterloo, in my opinion, has this sort of vibe where everyone can become a startup founder. And it's sort of missing in UofT, where it's more so you're working in a lab. And while there are resources at UofT that help with startups, it's definitely not as strong as Waterloo. And Waterloo, I think, has more maker spaces and places like, Startup Accelerator as well. But it's definitely up to you what you want to get out of your university experience. I'm just talking about my general experience, and my perspective is biased. And so if you want to pursue what you want to do, whether it's startup or research, you can definitely find it here at UofT. Okay, last but not least, let's talk about residences. So as you can see, I'm in Chestnut, which is likely what you'll be put in as a first year engineering student. So we have double beds. We have a lot of space to put all your stuff. We have an ensuite bathroom and all that. In my opinion, it's quite nice. You get a roommate to live with, and it's really good to have a lot of engineering students here, because it's a lot easier to make friends. You go to the same classes, you have group projects that you can work on together, and just generally a really nice community. And as well, the dining hall is all you can eat, so you just swipe in, and there's a lot of good food. It gets stale after a bit, I guess, after a year or so, but it's definitely good for gains if you're hitting the gym, and you can get a lot of protein in. Now, let's go back to the question we started at the beginning of this video. Is EngSci the right program for you? Well, if you want to learn a bit about everything, if you don't mind learning the theoretical side of engineering, or just explore different fields like thermo, nuclear, aerospace, robotics, or if you want to live in a big city, then EngSci is a really good program for you. Or if you want to go to grad school or do research during university, then EngSci is a really good program for you. On the other hand, if you want to do more hands-on learning, or maybe do a startup, then consider Waterloo. However, at the end of the day, university is what you make of it. And you can, rot and goon your way through university, or you can be really involved and active on campus and do all the things you love, do personal projects. It's really up to you to spend your university time. And the decision doesn't matter as much as you expected at the beginning. And that's it. I will leave my Discord and Instagram handle at the description of this video. So if you have any more follow-up questions, you can always let me know, and let me know in the comments as well of what videos you want to see upcoming next about EngSci, whether it's the curriculum or what research is like in engineering. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.